Good Tuesday morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. From the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by the Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joe Everett. Well, currently 51 degrees outside here at the farm. As we keep moving closer to the harvest season, with it being so dry, one step you might want to consider is making sure that your fire extinguishing equipment is ready to go. That's something we're doing here on our farm this year, is making sure that we're 100% ready to go and having a couple extra extinguishers on hand just in case a fire would happen to break out. Moving on to other notes, join us Thursday at Wyandotte County Fair thanks to Nature's Premium Liquid Fertilizers since 1946. Then on Friday, we'll be broadcasting from the Wyandotte County Fair thanks to Ag Credit. Stop out and see us. Trade is linking into the economy and political landscape over the coming months. Listen Wednesday as we talk with Ohio Corn and Wheat to find out how with low prices, low demand, and high supply, we need to use trade as a way to sell corn. Now let's check in with Joel Penorwood as he has an update from this week's Between the Rows.
It's dry, it's dusty, it's getting hot. That's about what it looks like right now.
Jeff Ray, a farmer in Union County, sums it up pretty well as far as what it's like in Ohio's farm fields at the moment. That's the latest perspective from the Between the Rows series, thanks to Seed Genetics Direct, the #1 fastest growing and largest Ohio-based independent seed company. More information at seedgeneticsdirect.com.
Corn's trying to start, the ears are dropping and they're starting to dry down a little bit. Beans, we don't have a whole lot of action. They're still pretty green. I don't see any leaves turning on them yet at all.
And how would Jeff describe his crops?
Things are just wilty looking, I guess is the adjective I would use to describe them. Yeah, we went on vacation a couple of weeks ago, and when we came home, you just notice everything is just, even long established shrubs and trees and everything like that are just, the leaves are drooping and everything like that.
With that in mind, harvest looking like it's not too far away.
Usually we try to do beans first, but we might be doing some corn first because, like I said, the ears are dropping, and with this dry weather, it's going to dry up pretty quick. So I don't think we'll be getting into beans, say maybe the 1st of October at the very earliest on those as far as we're concerned.
Again, Jeff Ray of Union County, one of our 4 Between the Rows farmers. More information online at ohioagnet.com. The full recap there, again, thanks to Seed Genetics Direct. I'm Joel Penorwood for the Ohio AgNet.
Hey, thanks, Joel. Well, U.S. beef exports continue to build momentum in July. USDA data shows July beef exports totaled 110,419 metric tons, up 7% from a year ago, and the second largest of 2024. Export value rose 12% to $910 million, also the second highest of the year. July growth was fueled by higher demand in Japan, Taiwan, Mexico, and the Middle East regions. From January through July, value increased 6% from last year despite the 2% drop in volume. Pork exports were well above a year ago levels in July, led by record value of shipments to Mexico. Pork exports reached 24,210 metric tons in July, 10% higher than last year. Export value rose 13% to $710.5 million, fueled by a record $244.5 million for leading market Mexico. Though the first 7 months of 2024, exports were 4% above 2023, and export value rose 6%. We'll be back to take a look at today's weather after this.
Get ready for the 62nd Annual Farm Science Review, September 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's more than a farm show. Explore over 600 exhibitors across 2.6 million square feet, providing equipment, services, and education for farms of all types and sizes. Tickets can be purchased at participating OSU Extension offices and agribusinesses, as well as online. Visit fsr.osu.edu to buy your Farm Science Review tickets now and plan your show visit. We look forward to seeing you at the 62nd Farm Science Review, September 17th, 18th, and 19th. Time is running out for your chance to win a free TV, and all you have to do is subscribe or renew to your free subscription of Ohio's Country Journal. Subscribe or renew before September 20th, 2024, and you will be entered for a chance to win a free TV. Subscriptions are completely free, but we must have a new request on file from subscribers every 3 years. The process is quick and easy. Visit ocj.com/renew. That's ocj.com/renew. Time is running out, so subscribe or renew today.
Now let's take a look at today's weather, brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
Plenty of warm air continuing to set up for Ohio. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at your forecast update. We are sunny, warm, and dry, I think, through the rest of this week. We have a hurricane trying to work its way through the southern United States, coming right up the Mississippi River Valley late this week, Thursday into Friday. But at this point, I do not believe it throws any moisture our direction until we get into the weekend. I think Friday, everything stays west and south of us. Going into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, maybe a few hit and miss scattered showers in southwest Ohio. Overall, I think the best day for moisture from this tropical related system is going to be next Monday into Tuesday, where we see hit and miss scattered showers over the western half of Ohio. All told, for the remains of this system, the tropical system can bring anywhere from a tenth to maybe half an inch of moisture to 70% of western Ohio. Eastern Ohio, I think, escapes with basically nothing. We are looking at a massive weather system trying to build in the Pacific Northwest toward the end of next week. However, the current rate of movement and how that system holds together probably does not put any moisture into our area here until late the weekend of the 21st, 22nd, or even into the week of the 23rd. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Well, the 14th annual Cultivating a Cure event raised a record-breaking $156,485 to support cancer research at The Ohio State University Comprehensive Cancer Center and the College of Food, Agriculture, and Environmental Sciences. Created by the Portis family in 2011, the event unites the agribusiness community to address cancer treatment and prevention. Held at the Hirsch Fruit Farm, the event featured discussions on agriculture's role in cancer research. To date, it has raised over $1.3 million. Next year's event will take place at Arlington Acres in Seneca County on August 24th, 2025. To learn more, you can find this full article at ohioagnet.com. In other news, yesterday the weekly crop progress report came out. Let's take a look at those numbers. The Ohio Crop Progress Report update is sponsored by AgriSpray Drones, empowering rural America through complete spray drone solutions. You can contact them at agrispraydrones.com/Arnold Precision. Starting with the national numbers, corn in the dough stage was estimated at 95%, 1 percentage point behind last year's 96%, but 1 point ahead of the 5-year average of 94%. Corn dented was estimated at 74%, 4 points behind last year's 78%, but 1 point ahead of the 5-year average of 73%. Corn matured was pegged at 29%, equal to last year, but 5 points ahead of the 5-year average of 24%. As for the harvest progress, 5% of the corn has been harvested nationally, slightly ahead of last year's 4% and 2 points ahead of the 5-year average of 3%. As for its crop condition, it was estimated that 64% of the crop still in the field was in good to excellent condition, down 1 point from 65% the previous week, but still above last year's 52%. Looking at soybeans setting pods were estimated at 97%, the same as last year, but 1 point ahead of the 5-year average of 96%. Soybeans dropping leaves were pegged at 25%, 2 points behind last year's 27%, but 4 points ahead of the 5-year average of 21%. Its crop condition was rated at 65% of the soybeans were in good to excellent condition, unchanged from the previous week, and still above last year's rating of 52% good to excellent. Looking at winter wheat planting moved ahead 4 points last week to reach 6% nationwide, 1 point behind last year's 5%, but equal to the 5-year average pace. Now looking at your numbers from the Buckeye State, topsoil moisture condition was rated 87% short to very short. The average temperature was 64.5 degrees, 3.9 degrees below normal. According to the most recent U.S. Drought Monitor report, 95% of Ohio was abnormally dry or worse, up 20 percentage points from the previous week. 9% of the state was experiencing severe drought, while 22% of the state was experiencing extreme drought or worse. Corn in the dough stage was rated at 95%. That's up 2 points over last week, 1 point ahead of last year, and 4 points ahead of the 5-year average. Corn dented was pegged at 78%. That's up 14 points over last week, 29 points ahead of last year, and 23 points ahead of the 5-year average. Corn matured was rated at 28%. That's up 14 points over last week, 20 points ahead of last year, and 18 points ahead of the 5-year average. Corn harvested for silage was pegged at 56% complete this week. That's up 25 points over last week, 34 points ahead of last year, and 25 points ahead of the 5-year average. Soybeans dropping leaves were rated at 30% this week. That's up 11% over last week, 23 points ahead of last year, and 19 points ahead of the 5-year average. Alfalfa hay third cutting was pegged at 95% this week. That's up 5 points over last week, 11 points over last year, and 9 points ahead of the 5-year average. As for the crop condition, corn was rated 49% good to excellent, while soybeans were rated 47% good to excellent, and both were up marginally from the previous week. In other news, what will it take to pass a new farm bill? Gary Crawford from the U.S. Department of Agriculture has more.
The way things are going or not going on Capitol Hill right now, it's going to be very hard to get a new farm bill passed.
And that's just the honest truth.
The honest truth from Agriculture Secretary Tom Vilsack. He told a group of visiting Farmers Union members Monday what he thinks needs to happen in order to get a farm bill on the books.
What needs to happen is for folks to be in the room, and by folks I mean the leadership of the House and the Senate Ag committees, with permission from their leadership to hammer out a deal.
Vilsack said yes, a farm bill could raise farm program reference prices.
But not at a point where it creates a circumstance where you have to take money from the nutrition programs or where you have to deal with budget gimmicks.
Vilsack said if lawmakers cannot compromise on a practical farm bill, then as far as trying to get something passed by the end of the year,
you're going to have a hard time.
Hard time. Gary Crawford for the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
Hey, thanks, Gary, for that update. We'll be back with the grain analysis in your overnight markets after this.
Get the equipment and trucks you need at Ritchie Brothers' next Great Lakes Regional event on September 18th, 19th, and 20th. This absolute unreserved auction will feature online bidding. Items are located in Columbus, Chicago, and Detroit. Choose from over 6,600 items, including a wide selection of construction equipment, truck tractors, and more. Don't miss Ritchie Brothers' Great Lakes Regional event on September 18th, 19th, and 20th. For more details, visit rbauction.com. Again, that's rbauction.com.
Who wants them?
It's now time for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, and that is brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finishing the day yesterday on a little bit of a stronger note as we take a look at the market recap coming at you live from the Wyandotte County Fair, Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Taking a look at yesterday's markets, corn and beans just a little bit stronger. The beans double-digit gains. Wheat markets just really couldn't come to play. We finished lower in KC and Minneapolis, slightly higher in Chicago. Stories yesterday, ag futures were steady to higher with soybeans the leader on additional Chinese pricing. The ongoing absence of rainfall in central and northern Brazil so far is definitely putting a little bit of a pall over what goes on in terms of planting in that part of the world. We also got news yesterday of another couple of cargoes of soybeans sold to China. Flash reported sales. China is going to be looking at purchasing more U.S. origin between now and the holiday season. Stats Canada yesterday pegged to 23-24 Canadian wheat ending stocks at 4.6 million metric tons versus USDA's estimate in August of just 1.8. That higher than expected wheat stocks number, a function of an upward revision of the 2022-23 end stocks. Stats Canada is notorious for large retroactive revisions, but we shouldn't be too surprised. Our own USDA seems to find 300 to 500 million bushels of corn from time to time. Brazilian corn up 11 cents a bushel yesterday. The nearby market trading above $5 a bushel for the first time since March. All of that is on that Brazilian weather that we talked about. Dryness matters very little today, but it will garner more attention as we get into October and into November. Export inspections yesterday included 33 million bushels of corn versus 38 million the previous week. Only 13 million bushels of soybeans versus 18 million the previous week. And 21 million bushels of wheat versus 22 the previous week. Watch the weather closely. We've heard about lower Mississippi River dryness. That's been a story. Maybe a potential hurricane heading toward the Mississippi Valley late this week. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now let's take a look at your overnight markets, brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Well, it looks like a lot of red in Chicago. Let's start off with December corn, 405 3/4, down 1.5. March corn, 424 1/2, down 1.5. November soybeans, 1015 1/4, down 2 3/4. January soybeans, 1032 1/4, down 3 1/4. December wheat, 566 1/2, down 2. Looking at livestock from yesterday's close, October live cattle 176.92, up $1.75. December live cattle 176.80, up $2.10. October lean hog 78.80, down 70 cents. December lean hog 71.10, down 13 cents. October feeder cattle, $234.72, up $3.77, and November feeder cattle, $231.82, up $3.80. Have a great day, everyone. I'm Joe Everett, and you're listening to the Ohio AgNet.